You know what I really hate about horror films? And maybe I'm being unfair generalizing to all horror films. Let's say modern horror films. This scene typifies it. So a character is all alone in this big spooky house and it's nighttime and they need to go to the bathroom or something like that. And they walk into the bathroom, to the sink, in front of a mirrored cabinet. And you can see that there's clearly no one behind them. But then they go about doing their business, turn on the tap and whatnot, then they open up the cabinet, take out some random thing from there, toothbrush, soap, whatever, and just as they close the cabinet, all of a sudden, Wah! And it's like loud violins and screeching noise and all that kind of stuff that's really loud and is just to cause a jump scare. And that is what is supposed to be considered as horror. That's not horror, in my opinion anyway. So what is? Hi, I'm Marcus, and I'm the idiot on the writer's block. If you're new to the channel, I, the idiot, ask experts for tips on how to write, publish, and promote my first fiction novel, Atticus the Mighty. Click the link right here to see other questions that I've already asked. And don't be afraid to click the like button and click subscribe for more tips on how to write, publish, and promote your first fiction novel. Now, I was talking about horror tropes, something that really scares you. And I'm sure we can all rattle off the number of horror films that really got to us. Mine in particular is a Nigerian TV show called Hot Cash. Do yourself a favor, YouTube Hot Cash, check it out. I'd say you'd thank me later, but I'm sorry. I just have to pass it on. But as a writer moving into fiction and novels, I want to know how I can write a good, solid horror novel. Something that can rival the likes of Stephen King or Dean Koontz or H.P. Lovecraft. Yeah, he was racist, but the show Lovecraft Country? Mwah! So, the question on the writer's block this week. What are some tropes that aspiring horror writers should embrace or avoid? Here are our experts with horror tropes to embrace and avoid.
Right, horror tropes. I'm gonna start controversially here, and I'm probably gonna get some tap for it. I gotta go to Stephen King here. Right. The man has become a cliche. It's not just scary anymore. It just simply doesn't scare us anymore. I can already see the mob outside coming with the pitchforks. Pull in, I'm here. Come to me. I am ready for you today. It's just, look, I am not a fan of Stephen King's work. I think I've said that in the past. The guy just gets so involved with himself that he can't tell a good story. I mean, I tried reading The Gunslinger 3 times. I fell asleep three times. It's not just that. Look, in horror, the first thing is the trope is the savior. You got to look very carefully that you don't write a Mary Sue character. A Mary Sue character, for those who don't know, is when everything comes too easily for him or her. They basically just go through the story without any tribulations, without anything bad really happening to them. I'll go to Rey from Star Wars, the latest Star Wars movie. She's a perfect example of a Mary Sue character. She just gets handed everything, goes through it. We don't suffer with her. That's what makes a great character, not just in horror, any story. We as readers, we got to suffer with that character. We got to think, this character is just like us. We got to relate. That's what I'm trying to say. If you want to make a believable character in horror, that character has got to have to go through hell and back. You can't just go from page 1 to 300. Oh, we know how it's going to end. It takes away all the tension, all the drama, and we're bored in the end. And I'm sorry, the mob is waiting for me outside. Stephen King, you've lost it, dude, says the man that only sold a few books, but I'm going to be that guy today. I can just see the dislikes on this video coming, but nevertheless, we got to invest in your characters. If she trips, another horrible cliche, if she trips and the dude stabs her in the back, without us knowing who she is, why, where's the emotion? Then you're doing cheap writing here. It's a gag almost.
as a reader, what I love to see is that sense of connection. You know, you can feel that sense of connection. Again, the stakes are higher for you as a reader, because you connect to the person who is trying to survive or who is trying to whatever during the course of the novel. From a horror standpoint, from a thriller and a suspense standpoint, there's that back and forth that builds the suspense and builds the sense of urgency. You know, there's always the countdown, you know, and when they're trying to defuse a bomb, they always show you the timer as they're trying to defuse the bomb, and there's a reason they do that. You know, it's like, oh goodness, oh goodness, oh goodness, oh goodness, are they gonna make it? And you get all sorts of panicky, and it's just like, it's a TV show, you know, or a movie or a book or whatever it is. There's a countdown. There's the back and forth that you can do. Sometimes it's, let's say a girl is crossing the street and it flashes to a bus and then to the girl and then to a bus and then to the girl. And you're just like, oh, I know what's coming. And you're just getting more and more like, when's it going to hit? When's it going to hit? When's it going to hit? And so when I'm looking at anything that puts an emphasis on that thriller, horror, all those elements, I'm looking for that building of the stakes or of that tension. And I'm looking for that wonderful, horrible feeling that comes with it, where it's, I shouldn't have read this, whenever you're, you know, getting ready to go to bed and the power goes out or something crazy like that. Actually, I was the person in high school who, when the power would go out at my parents' house, I'd find like the darkest corner and I'd have my flashlight and my books, and I would read I Know What You Did Last Summer or anything else by Lois Duncan. I would read any of her books that I was working on at that point in time when the power went out, because I was just that kind of a person. So
I think films or really stories like It, I think they actually play on that concept really well. Sure, there is a physical manifestation of fear, but actually these are manifestations of these very concrete anxieties all of our main characters have. And also It herself, itself, I think it's actually a female creature, actually in the book canon, is actually a physical manifestation of the trauma in the town and the ill will of the people in the town. So I think I really love that manifestation of horror and horror creatures as the psychological processes of the people, because basically it's playing on how humans really create their own monsters. I like to see smart people solving problems in horror. I think I feel like too much horror features just people kind of getting themselves into situations through just their stupid decisions. That's probably something I'll deal with stuff I don't like, but I really just like seeing people really solve issues just using their own deductive reasoning in horror. And now on to things that I really am not a fan of. You might see this on my Midsommar video on my channel, but I really don't like the pagan cult trope. I think, now it's not that I dislike all manifestations of this trope. I think it can accomplish many different things. The Wicker Man is an excellent example of that pagan cult trope done well. But the thing is, the difference is that the Wicker Man actually fleshed out the people who were in this cult, who were drawing this one outsider in. You could see they had a fleshed out culture, and you could understand their need to do this as part of their way. The Midsommar, for me, while there was a pagan cult doing these things a lot in the fashion of Wicker Man, it did not set up a lot of the people. It didn't flesh out the people. It was just like, oh, it's a pagan cult and they're doing these things. And for me, first of all, it's unsatisfying when you kind of throw in kind of this very worn out, tired trope. It's been used so many times. Also, I think this trope needs to evolve a lot more, because I am a pagan myself, and I experience paganism so differently. So it's jarring for me to go into these films and be like, oh, well, these pagans, they're all like part of this one hive mind, and they're all like orchestrating together to get these victims in. And part of it is they're trying to talk about how groups overwhelm individuals, and about fundamentalism. I understand that, I comprehend it. But for me as a pagan, and experiencing it as a very individualistic religion, how every pagan really molds a lot of their beliefs around them to themselves and their own personal practice. I'm like, this is not how I experience this this branch of religions. Because if anything, a lot of these cults and their practices and their ways, they reflect a lot more of the Judeo-Christian world to me. That's how, because I experienced that myself at one point. So I think that's quite, that trope is quite tired and needs to evolve a lot. And a way that you can evolve that is by describing the individual religious experience and the horror of that, and which goes back to what I was talking about with the description of the human condition and the psychological process of going through that religious experience. It can be very frightening. And so I think that's a way to really update the representation of pagans in horror. Of course, I don't really care for a lot of racist tropes as well. Like, you know, the black character who dies early, I'm not a huge fan of. And of course, and also a lot of like little things, not so much tropes, but little things that tend to appear in horror, just like people tripping over themselves when they run away, their technology suddenly doesn't work, or they run outside of a house and the street is empty. That sort of thing, I don't really care for.
And there you have it. Our experts have given me some great horror tropes that I can either use or avoid like the plague. You can check the description below for links to their work. But what did you think? Do you agree or disagree with the choices that they made? Or maybe you have some really spine-tingling ideas of your own that you would like to share with us. If so, put all your thoughts in the comments below. Do it! Do it! Do it! And if you enjoyed the content, why not give the video a like, share it with your friends, and subscribe for more tips on how to write, publish, and promote your first fiction novel. I'm Marcus, and I'll see you next time. I so wanted to say Candyman 5 times just as a joke, but no. Whoa! Yeah, okay.